Good morning, afternoon or evening, ladies and gentlemen, Allincrypto here, and welcome back, guys, once again for another jam-packed daily market update. If you're unfamiliar with the channel, or you're finding yourself on my channel for the first time today, don't forget to check out that subscribe button, because we drop an update just like this one around 1 PM UK time, day in, day out, to help you guys stay up to date with the cryptocurrency space, but also the broader markets. I'm going to be doing that in this video. Yesterday, you had the release of the Fed minutes. This is where they show what was discussed in regards to monetary policy and the decisions around interest rate cuts, and obviously, of course, their balance sheet, which I think everyone is watching with suspense, given what we're seeing with the bond markets and ultimately the yield markets and what that's doing more broadly in regards to inputting an element of concern when it comes to stability in the financial sector. The bond market is how money comes into creation. It's borrowed into existence. And ultimately, right now, you've got bonds that are really selling off, which means yields are going higher today. We've just reached a new all-time high, or a new all-time low, not new all-time low, another low in yields in the UK. In bonds, meaning yields are at a sort of a high, a local high, further than what obviously they blamed Liz Truss for. Now, I've continued to state my opinion, and we're getting validated on it, that actually I don't think Liz Truss was the problem. I think the Bank of England had a lot more to answer for, and actually I think her policies of lowering taxes were sound. I'm all about that. I don't believe I'm totally against taxes, but I'm certainly against the kind of taxes that we get thrust upon us here in the UK and further abroad, certainly with the tax rates. And I don't think anybody would mind. I think they would mind paying taxes, but I think they'd be a little bit less annoyed about it if our country was actually in some sort of a decent standing, which it's just not, I'm afraid. But we're not a political channel, so we'll avoid that. So we had that go on yesterday. We also had news from the DOJ and the fact that they've now been legally cleared by a US federal judge to essentially sell $6.5 billion of Bitcoin seized, obviously, from Silk Road. Now, my introduction into Bitcoin was in the days of Silk Road. We're not going to go too into that, although we've got some funny, exceptionally funny stories that we could share. That is for maybe a podcast format video or something like that. But again, potential sell pressure. We saw a similar thing with the German government, and what a mistake that was. And I don't think, are they going to sell this? Are they not? You know, we'll see. We'll discuss it all, and then, of course, we'll talk about some price action. So I think the best place for me to start is with, obviously, the news that broke yesterday about a US federal judge has approved the sales of 69, great number, 1,370 Bitcoin, which today is worth around about $6.5 billion, seized from Silk Road. Major move by the government. What's next for the markets? So the DOJ cleared to sell $6.5 billion in Bitcoin seized from Silk Road. A federal judge ruled December the 30th that the DOJ can sell the 69,370 Bitcoin seized from the Silk Road darknet marketplace. Officials confirmed a year-long ownership dispute over the seized Bitcoin ended after Battleborn Investments lost its bid to delay the sale. The group had claimed ownership through a bankruptcy estate and recently lost a related FOI case seeking to reveal the identity of individual X who originally surrendered the Bitcoin. Battleborn's attorney called it another egregious example of the DOJ's abuse of a civil asset forfeiture process, claiming the government relied on... I hate lawyers. Seriously. Why use all of this language? I guess it's legal jargon. Procedural trickery to make sure the facts are never heard. The DOJ cited Bitcoin's price volatility in pushing for permission to sell the asset. When asked about next steps, a DOJ spokesperson said the government will proceed further, consistent with the judgment in the case. So that looks likely that they're going to do that. Now, that's very against what Trump and other people have said in regards to a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Surely that would be a good thing to hold on to. And surely it's up massively. In fact, it would be from the days of Silk Road. The seized Bitcoin is currently valued at approximately $6.5 billion. So quite a lot of negative news. And this is part of markets, guys. Some of you are new to markets, you're getting new to investing, and actually well done. And I don't mean that in any kind of a condescending way. I took that journey very seriously in 2017. Really 2016, verging on 2017. And it's entirely changed my life. And the opportunity at hand, even though we're reporting on bad news, is still very present. It's ever present. And I want you guys to really win in this game. And I think we have done thus far. And we're going to continue to do so. And I'm glad you're all on that journey with me. So this is a negative event. It looks like the DOJ might sell 6.5 billion Bitcoin. $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. Of course, it's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin. Unless, of course, they fork the chain or something like that. Which isn't a total non-possibility. Although the Bitcoin maxis would have you believe that. Or, for example, perhaps maybe there's a 51% attack. That could ultimately change Bitcoin's hard cap, which I think is a semi-hard cap at 21 million, and we're very contrary sharing those opinions. But this is not good news. It's ultimately stupid news, and I wouldn't be surprised if they try and do this before Trump gets elected. And actually, Trump was mentioned and his policies were mentioned in the Fed's meeting yesterday. So, potential sell event. Just to remind people very quickly, Germany did that here, and then it literally rocketed. So they were selling in the sort of 60k region, and then it went up to 100 plus. So, I find with government, and the problem always comes back to that free market argument. If the decisions you make are directly going to impact your livelihood, you're going to make them a lot more, thoughtfully. If the decisions that you make are going to really hurt your purse, then you're ultimately going to make them, I think, a lot more. If you don't benefit from the problem, like actually a lot of government jobs do, so there's no real, issue in regards to eradicating them. You're not going to do things in regards to in a better manner. Let's just leave that there. But so the German government have tried this previously. It didn't really make much difference. Bitcoin went higher. In fact, we're always going to deal with negative news. Sometimes this is just the very thing we need to push us higher. We shall see, though. We're looking at some really interesting real dino coins that are showing similar structure to XRP that we think are going to do sensationally that nobody is talking about. In fact, we've got lots of cryptos in our portfolio, and you can unlock that when you become a Patreon. Nobody is talking about. And we've got some stocks that nobody wants right now, but we think actually they're primed for some serious upside. So let's talk a little bit about what took place also yesterday. We knew this was going to be a heavy week of economic data. We reported on Sunday. Fed officials are worried about the inflation impact from Trump's policies. Minutes show. Now, as somebody that looks at the bond markets, I think there's a bit of disingenuousness here because inflation's less than 3%, right? Policy rates, 4.5? And they're still being very hawkish. Why? I don't think it has anything to do with inflation. I think it has everything to do with the bond market and the fact they don't want to lower interest rates too fast because ultimately that's going to lower the yield on those bonds at a time when they're selling off. And I think they also don't want to step back in just yet and start QE, which is the purchasing of bonds or the adding of bonds, treasuries to their balance sheets, which is ultimately going to support the bond market. There's two roads here, debt collapse or QE. And I think what we've seen throughout the past 20 years is, or probably less than that, the willingness to do QE and to step in and to continue to propagate their system, which is why we're not in the black swan debt collapse camp. And actually, I think the debt collapse is too obvious in regards to the event that ushers us onto a global new world system. I think it's going to happen in a more orderly, frogs boiling slowly fashion. They control everything. They've got a really good grip. I'm talking about the international banking cartel here of the world. I don't think they're going to give that up or throw that out of whack with a catastrophic event. I think the more easier route that they go is continuation and continuing to tighten that grip and to ultimately sort of train road, in regards to put us on a different track when it comes to this sort of one world agenda that's being propagated. Anyway, a little bit Jonesy there. Fed officials, so we've read that. Federal Reserve officials at the December meeting expressed concerns about inflation and the impact that President Donald Trump policies could have on efforts to reduce it. So he's spoken. Yesterday we looked at a clip of Trump talking about reducing interest rates. Interest rates are far too high. Inflation's far too high. How can you lower interest rates when the bond market looks like it does without actually saying you're going to support it Also, and there's also things like the debt ceiling being raised. There's a push to eradicate the debt ceiling altogether. Even though we have departments like DOJ, not DOJ, DOGE, which is the Department of Government Efficiency. I don't know if they're going to be able to reduce debt, and actually, I think it's likely the likelihood is it continues to grow. And there's a whole lot we're not going into when it comes to the sort of bond market and the sort of banking system, just because we often lose people when we talk about all of that stuff. So this is bad news. The policymakers said they would move more slowly on interest rates due to the uncertain minutes of the meeting showed Wednesday. The minutes included at least 4 mentions about the impact that changes in immigration and trade policy could have on the United States. So obviously maybe referencing some of what Trump's looking to do there. So really what came out from this is they also reduced their expected cuts in 2025 to 2 from 4. And essentially, I believe they also said that they were going to lengthen their stopping of quantitative tightening. So they're going to lengthen the time period that they were actually going to... So instead of it being earlier this year, they're going to take it to about June this year, 2025. So both largely negative things on top of obviously the Bitcoin news, and Bitcoin, of course, just getting sort of, and we'll go to the short time frames, thrown around a little bit in all of this. And we did say we don't like broadening structures here, or not broadening structures, ascending structures. Your pullbacks should be descending in an uptrend. And we looked at an inverse head and shoulders. We said don't bet on that. Obviously, the price really ripped from there, and we said that's the reason why to not bet on downside in a bull market. But now we're sort of back at what could be a neckline, and this is something to watch. And certainly, if the Department of Justice do decide they want to sell their Bitcoin, could you see this come to fruition? That's going to take Bitcoin down to sort of the 70k range. You've also got CME gap there. It's a scenario to watch out for. I'm not entirely convinced. I certainly wouldn't try and short this or get out of the cryptocurrency space in wake of this. Just in case you're wrong, then you're literally wiping out. If you're wrong and it goes up 20%, you've got 20% less crypto. For what is very evidently a bull market. And I think that's exceptionally evident on the broader timeframes. Remember how much work we've done technically on this space, ladies and gents. When it walketh, talketh, and quacketh like a duck, it's a duck. And we've looked at this market from a 360 point of view, not just in regards to Bitcoin, in regards to the totals, in regards to ETPs, in regards to the miners, in regards to altcoins, in regards to Bitcoin versus other markets. And when you look at the cryptocurrency picture through the lens of a bigger time frame technical analyst's head, it's a very clear and evident picture that, of course, is being painted. So I think the market's not overly joyous with, probably more importantly, the news from the Fed, but also I don't think they're enjoying what is essentially taking place with the DOJ. It looks like they want to proceed with the sale of $6.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. I don't know why. Certainly when they're talking about, what are you going to do? Sell it now, and then if it goes up, you're going to have to buy at a way higher price when you implement a strategic reserve. Probably likely another sort of agency grab. But in the grand scheme of things, guys, the cryptocurrency space is fine. Bitcoin selling off, altcoins selling off more. This is part and parcel with the journey that you guys have decided to embark on. I know there are days where some of you wish you never, but trust me, guys, it is worth it when you sort of come out the other end victorious. And we hope to help people do that on a non-financial advisory basis here on the channel. So I'm going to love and leave you on that note, guys. Thanks a lot for watching as always. We'll keep you up to date daily. Don't worry about that. If you're not already subscribed, consider becoming one. Like and a comment is always appreciated. And I'll see you all in the next one.